I'm often at conferences with hundreds of other astrologers. I co-author a book annually for Barnes & Noble called Your Astrology Guide. The current version of this is 2009. This is a sun sign book based upon the individual 12 signs popular astrology. I also write a daily horoscope column that has about 15 million readers a day. My column is the column on the homepage of MySpace, on the homepage of AOL, on the homepage of Google, and a couple of thousand other smaller sites. So that's the popular side of what I do, which actually has validity and use, but it's a little bit different than what we're going to be talking about today. Sacred Mysteries, the people who have brought you this conference, also have brought you a DVD called Quantum Astrology, Science, Spirit, and Our Place in the Cycles of History. I'll cover a little bit of this material today, but this is available back at the table. And also, we have in production a new DVD, which should be out toward the beginning of the year, so get your advanced orders in. And the title of that is going to be also some of the material I'm covering today. The title of that will be The 60s Inside Out, the Astrology of 2012 and Beyond. Now, I would like to, in my wanting to waste a little more time, start off with a short poem that has nothing to do with what I'll be talking about, but being up here at the podium, it's my way of enforcing my crap onto you. How many people here have ever been in an airplane? I actually met a woman who is about 55 years old and has never been in an airplane. I mean, I know there are people out there. This is called Flying High. I wrote this about 20 years ago. I take my poetry very seriously, and this is one of those that's withstood the test of time. I think you'll enjoy it. Wings of steel, wings of song, 8 miles high I travel along. The stewardess asks in a voice so sweet, would you care for a little something to eat? Something to eat, or something to drink. I'd love to, I say, but then I think every day we do such incredible things, like flying so high on aluminum wings. We do it so often with such a great ease, we go anywhere we possibly please. We trust our lives to the pilot and crew, yet we give little thought to this thing so new. History changes all that is true. What once was imagined are now things we do. You see, flying was once reserved for the birds, the views of a few, and their poetic words, but even those with a vision of what futures might bring could not have dreamed up this man-made thing. 200 people, each in his own seat, with a view of the clouds and something to eat. Okay, now we get serious. This is going to be tough. I can't see the screen. All right, we're going to have to do this. Yeah. This will be fine. I'm going to, in the next 41 minutes, deliver 2 separate one-hour lectures. The lecture I would like to deliver is the second lecture you're going to hear this morning, but I can't do it to a group of non-astrologers before I do the first. And so we're going to take this at light speed, and I would much rather take time to breathe and to play music and to kind of soak into some of this stuff, but this is going to be a little bit of a right-handed, left-brain roller coaster ride. So fasten your seatbelts, stow your luggage safely under your seat, and welcome aboard. Slide, please. Okay, what is reality? This is a question that we could spend the next 40 minutes, that's all we have left, the next 40 minutes on, but my goal today is to alter your perception of reality just a little bit. Slide. I want to start off by asking a question that scientists and philosophers have been asking for millennia, and that is light a particle or is light a wave? How many people here have been wet the bleached? Come on, admit it. All right. And no, Fred Allen Wolf is not my older, smarter brother, but he is a close friend. This question has kind of gone through a lot of shifts, and the current thinking is that life is light. Light is both a particle and a wave. Light travels as a wave form until it is measured, and at the moment of perception of its measuring, at the moment of the metric that the measurement is taken, for one moment that waveform pops into a particle, is observed as a particle, and then when you look away, it continues traveling as a wave. Niels Bohr, the founder of quantum physics, said that quantum physics is not stranger than you think, it's stranger than you can think. Slide. He also once said to a student, I like your theory, but I don't think it's strange enough. So, in the early part of the 20th century, we began to look into the microcosm, and it was rather disconcerting to the scientists because the subatomic particles were not following the laws of mathematics. You know, no one has ever seen an electron. What we see are, and I'm not making this up, clouds of electron possibilities. So electrons, like light, are both particles and waves, and we can't see them as both particles and waves. They travel as waves, and yet when we observe them, they become particles. When we see where they've been or where they're going, they're waves. But when we look at them for that moment, they're not moving, they're particulated. Is that a word? Slide. All right, we're coming from what is called the Newtonian paradigm. Isaac Newton, actually, some people call him the first great scientist. John Maynard Keynes, a biographer, referred to Newton as the last great magician. The Newtonian paradigm basically describes a universe of gravity, of cause and effect relationships, billiard ball mechanics, where if you know enough mathematics about where something is and where it's going, you can predict. And the Lord said, let there be dark. And in the Newtonian paradigm, we have what we call linear time. This moment comes before this moment. And there is cause and effect. And time is an independent variable, meaning that if I do an experiment today, and I do that experiment tomorrow, gravity is still going to be 32 feet per second in its acceleration. It doesn't matter what time of day or what time of year it is. And in the Newtonian paradigm, we have, as been talked about here yesterday, separated ourselves from nature. Man has tried to conquer nature and master its forces. Slide. But the problem is that in the 20th century, physics, the hardest of all hardcore sciences, has gone soft. You see, there are no things out there. There is no thing, nothing out there. And what's out there is in here. What is above is below, what is within, what is without. It is all the same. We are somehow surfers on a perspective of sensibilia. Nothing more, nothing less. Slide. In the quantum paradigm, instead of having things out there, everything is a particle-wave duality. You know, the illusion of solidness is a great illusion, but it really is only an artifact of very high-frequency electromagnetic waves vibrating at trillions of cycles a second, interfering with each other, creating ripples that create what are called nodes or standing waves that create the illusion of solidness. The universe is 99.9% empty. In the quantum paradigm, instead of having cause and effect, we have functions of probability. We have non-local space, where something that happens in another dimension or in another part of the galaxy is somehow intimately connected with what's happening here. You can call this faster than light communication. Quantum physicists call it non-locality. We have synchronicity. We'll come back to that a little bit later, but syn, Greek for the same as, chronos. Chronos is Latin for Saturn. I'm sorry, chronos is Greek for Saturn, which is Latin for what we would call Father Time. Synchronicity, things happening at the same time. And in the quantum paradigm, instead of being separated from nature, we have the re-enchantment of nature. Slide. As scientists began to look at what was going on in the quantum or in the subatomic realms, what they discovered was that things did not conform to the mathematical laws. Werner Heisenberg wrote what we know of as the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, but basically what he said is that the more we know about where something is, the less we know about where it's going. The more we know about where it's going, the less we know about where it is. And this is an intimate, interrelated spectrum, so that at any given moment you can't know the particle and the wave. The more you know about the particle, the less you know about the wave. The more you know about the wave, the less you know about the particle. Slide. Here we have a picture of what we call the electromagnetic spectrum, but it's a thin slit of that is what we see as visible light. Deepak Chopra once commented that there is no such thing as green out there. There is no green in the universe. Green is a wave, it's a frequency vibration that's 4,500 angstrom units long. We perceive it through our sensory mechanism as green. There are animals that perceive infrared. There are animals that perceive ultraviolet. We perceive through our eyes, our ears, our olfactory, our nose, a teeny tiny slit in this band of frequency that we call the electromagnetic spectrum that includes X-rays, microwaves, gamma waves, 60 cycles per second floating through our homes that give us alternating current, AC power, etc., etc. Slide. However, it is my contention that as you go off the low end of the electromagnetic spectrum, past long power wave distribution, past Tesla waves, which the Navy experimented with in things like, if any of you have seen the Philadelphia experiment, weird waves that seem to cause ripples in time-space fabric. These long waves that are miles long go right through the Earth. However, it's my contention that the planets create waveforms. The moon is not a particle up there, albeit a large particle. It's a waveform of 13 cycles a year. Saturn is a waveform of 3 cycles per century. Pluto is a waveform of 4 cycles per millennium. Slide. So, the big question that we look at now as we're facing the big Earth changes that we're facing, 2012 and beyond, and you notice I used and beyond, is reality controlled by fate? Is it fate or is it free will? And I could talk for an hour or so about this, but my guess is I have about 26 minutes left, so we need the next slide. Rick's formula. Particle is to wave, as fate is to free will. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle plays true in the metaphysical realm. You see, the way it works is very simple. I mean, people know that there are things that happen that are fated. And yet we live under the grand illusion. I have a sign over my desk that any client who comes to see me for a consultation sees the sign. Then the sign looks like a poster that I made. And it says, exercise your illusion of free will. I mean, why would we be bothering with any of this shit relationship if we didn't believe that we had some way of interacting with the plastic universe out there. Plastic, I don't mean fake, I mean malleable, moldable. And so at any given moment, the more fated we are, the more we perceive fate, the less room we have to exercise our free will. The more we know about or think about free will, the less we have of fate. It's the same particle-wave duality, the fate-free will duality. And the reason why I think this is so important at this junction in history, as Daniel said on the panel yesterday, when I said the most important thing that we can do, the only thing that we can do is gain awareness. And Daniel said, well, what good's awareness without action? And I would say, well, that's not awareness if you're not turning it into action, because part of awareness is the understanding that we have the interactivity with our local universe. And so the whole concept here is that 2012 isn't happening out there. 2012 is something that's happening inside each and every one of us. And it's incumbent upon each and every one of us to take action and to do something with our awareness. Slide.